All right, talking about time. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our monthly MAPS coaching webinar. We are going to be talking about taking control of your time, building an amazing 2024 calendar. We're going to talk about the best tools that you can possibly use to make this as easy as possible for you. So I'm beyond excited, and thank you for taking the time to join us. First of all, I'm joined by my friend and business partner, Anna McKeel. So welcome, Anna. She's going to be taking us through some things to make sure that we are safe and compliant before we go on this wonderful, magical journey today. So Anna, talk to us a little bit about the TCPA.
Absolutely. Thanks, Brendan, and welcome everyone to today's webinar. My name is Anna McKeel, if I haven't had the pleasure of meeting you. As a reminder, with all of our training and coaching content, we want to make sure that you are abiding by the TPCA and DNC laws. So as we move through any of our content, be sure that you are following all federal, state, and local laws, including B2B text. Never call or text a number on the do not call list. Never use an auto dialer or an artificial voice or pre-recorded message without proper consent. If you have any questions on how to apply today's trainings or any trainings that we do, be sure to contact your managing broker or local attorney just to make sure that you are at the highest level of compliance. Now, with all of that out of the way, we're going to jump right in. And with that, we want to kind of start with the engagement of the chat box. We want to know who's on the call. So first and foremost, jump into the chat box. We want to know who you are, your state and city, so we know where to send really great referrals. And then one thing that you're most grateful for today. So name, where you're at, and one thing you're grateful for. So Brennan, as these answers and comments start rolling into the chat box, I'm going to ask you, what's one thing you're grateful for today?
Yeah, and I was thinking about this, especially as we talk about time management and we talk about calendars. One of the things that I'm most grateful for is the fact that I have the ability and time in the morning. I was thinking about my morning mastery session. We're going to talk a little bit about that this morning, but that I have the time to meditate, that I have the time to go through this process and to really get centered every morning so that I don't have a panic attack or an anxiety attack or all the other stresses that we're dealing with. So I'm grateful for the fact that I'm been committed to this process, and we're going to talk a lot about commitment today, and that it's put me in a better position to hopefully be healthier and more mindful about everything I do. How about you?
I love that. Well, I'm grateful for progress, right? We're never going to get it perfect every single day. And every day is a new opportunity to kind of take one little piece that we learned from the day before and put it into our daily regimen, our daily routine, and show up just a little bit better. That's all we can really control, is how we show up, and every day is a new day. So I'm grateful to be here with everyone on the call. And without further ado, Brennan, I know we've got a ton to go over, so I'm going to hand it over to you.
Yeah, we got to manage this time, so we're going to jump right in. So let's start and let's dive right in to talking about what are the major challenges with time management. So in any class that we usually teach, you'll see a theme here where we have to identify the problem, and then we're going to obviously talk about the solutions on how we focus on making sure that we have powerful strategies that take care of these problems. So we know that the major challenge is that only 1 in 5 people follow any time management system at all. And in fact, I've been a real estate coach for a lot of years, and I talk to agents all the time. When I ask them all the time, what are you struggling with? It's almost automatic. They go time management, second, accountability. Time management, accountability. It's never like, I need more leads, or I'm really struggling with my listing presentation or my program. I don't know how to find clients. I hear it constantly. And so we've done thousands and thousands of hours of research on this. And in doing this, that's what we're hoping to deliver to you today, is understanding that there are tools, and I want you to make sure you write that word down, tools that can help. Right? We're going to be focusing on tools, not just like, here's some ideas that you can do and hacks and all of this. There are actual physical tools that I use every single day, that our organization uses every single day, to maximize our efficiency. And I think that's the biggest piece is we're trying to be more efficient so that we can spend quality time with our families. We can work smarter, not harder. This isn't just about, time is money and all of this. That's all baloney, right? That's all ridiculous. What we're trying to do is make sure that we're highly effective so that we can spend more time on our family, our hobbies, the things that we care about. So only 1 in 5 people follow any system at all. And usually that's because they don't have the right tools. Then 82% of people don't have a time management system in place. They just use a list or their email box. So in the chat box, who are my list people, right? You've got this list and you go every day, yeah, immediately, right? It's like,
And my name
I
is
work
Anna.
at
I love a list.
yeah, yeah, and there is nothing wrong with that. We're going to talk about some ways to utilize lists at a maybe a more efficient way, and so we're going to talk about that. But yeah, usually it's just I fight through getting through all my emails every day, then I fight through getting through my lead follow up, then I fight through getting through all of my to do list. And I think for some of us, we constantly feel like I'm just drowning. I'm just drowning and I'm not getting anywhere and it's exhausting and it puts all this pressure on us. And so hopefully some of these strategies and tools will help you today to make sure that that's alleviated. And then 1 in 20% ever complete a monthly time audit. So we don't look back and go, hey, what did I do last month that I could have tweaked a little bit? I want you to think about this, right? It's just like Indy 500, these super Formula One race cars or whatever they're called, right? They all have the same parameters of what they can do with this car, but they tweak all of the little things. So one car happens to go just fast, a lot faster than the other car and wins all the races. Well, in doing that, they take a look at every single race and go, what could we have done here? What could we have changed on this? So that the next time they hit the track, right, in our world, the next day, the next month, the next week, they're going, I can get a little bit more juice out of this business or machine or whatever your mindset is of what you're trying to look at it. So that's what we're trying to do. We have to reflect. Some of us just keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting the different result. So we've got to do those audits. All right. So let's focus today on 3 keys to $1 million calendar. That first one we're going to talk about is helping you build the year. So we're going to go through and we're going to use some time-tested strategies to build a powerful calendar for your year. Then we're going to dive deep into how to win the week, and then we're going to maximize each and every day. And when you do that, we create this cadence, this rhythm that produces results, reduces anxiety, takes the stress off, and you can actually start to see a lot more progress a lot quicker than you thought you could. All right, so let's start out with building the year. Now, with building the year, for a lot of my Stephen Covey fans out there, I'm a huge Stephen Covey follower, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I mean, I love it. Stephen Covey years ago talks about this mindset of how do you build a successful calendar and a successful year? And he gives this example of an empty vase. So if your vase is, just pretend or have a piece of paper, you can draw this beautiful image on here. If you had a vase that represented your 2024 year, and you knew that you had to prioritize the things that matter most that you're going to put into this to start building out the most powerful year, what a lot of us do is the first thing, we go to our calendar and we just start time blocking. We're like, I'm going to do this, 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 this. And a lot of it has to deal with work, 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 and then family fits in and time fits in around it. So what we really want you to kind of get the mindset of, and again, for a lot of, I know we got some mastery level ninjas on here. Some of you are gonna be like, yeah, I've heard this before. Hang in there with me because again, we've got a whole second and third section here that's gonna tap this all in. But the main mindset is we've got to start with our big rocks first. We got this empty vase. We've got to start with our big priorities. Then we've got to put in the small pebbles and then let all of the daily distractions, the sand and everything else fill in around that. And this was a struggle for me because, a lot of times I was just building my rhythm, my regiment all around just production, sell. How many listing appointments can I fit into a single week? How can I do all of this? And it doesn't lead to a very good quality of life. I woke up in Las Vegas basically having a nervous breakdown, stopped answering my phone for 3 days because, yeah, I'm pretty sure I had a nervous breakdown. I don't know what else to say. So I didn't have my priorities correct. I didn't have a rhythm, and I was letting the small projects and the daily distractions crush me compared to focusing on my major priorities. So when we look at this, we've got to start with that empty jar and then start thinking about these big rocks, right? So if you're thinking about what your rocks are as we start to build your 2024 calendar, here are the five that I focus on and that I really, after years and years of trial and error, have found to be the most effective. So we've got family, personal growth, energy, lead measures, and then in our world, especially, and I know we have some other people from different professions that might not be in real estate, we've got appointments, right? We have to go and have successful buyer, listing, network, all these appointments that we have to have, or not have to have, that we get to have, also mindset, right? That we get to have, that is going to cause us to have massive success. So when we start thinking about family and we think about your 2024 calendar, how many of you right now have blocked out when you're going to take vacations, right? Looking at it right now, I'll be first to be guilty about it, right? I used to just go work, work, work. And then, because, depending upon seasonality, I'd be like, yeah, time for a vacation. Or I'd just be like, I'm getting to this breaking point. Instead of looking at it and going, okay, I know that in September, I'm going to take 2 weeks off. In March, I'm going to take 2 weeks off. I'm going to really maximize these 3 or 4 holidays and really start to plan it out. Now, the reason this is so critical is we work in sprints. So if we always have something to look forward to, right, then we're more inclined to work a lot harder until that time of that break happens. If you don't have any breaks set on your calendar for the future, that's where burnout happens. That's where exhaustion happens. That's where I'm a workaholic and I'm just overwhelmed happens. And this is also where, and I see people do this all the time, you start doing these 4-day poppers. I call them 4-day poppers, right? Where you're just like, I worked really hard, last minute, I'm sick of this, I've done so much, and you just take off and you go to Cabo at the last second, and you pay extra, you spend all this extra money to do it, you feel like you're getting recharged, you didn't really let anybody know that you were going, so you've got to scramble at the last minute, but you're just at this breaking point. So think about it in this aspect that you don't have to like plan the entire vacation, but if you're looking at your calendar and you have your, on your wall here, you have your yearly calendar, how nice would it be to wake up every day and go 3 more weeks, 5 more weeks, 1 more week until X, right? It just makes it that much easier. So think about those things, especially with the family and Disney World and Legoland and all this fun stuff. Then, of course, we've got date nights, we've got church, we've got quality of time with the kids, we've got your philanthropic, all these things that you're going to be doing. We've got to make sure that we're locking those in first, because that's the gas that drives this machine, right? That's what fills you up. You don't get filled up. I ask people all the time, it's like, yeah, does you closed X amount of deals. Why did you do it? Well, I did it because I wanted to have all these amazing experiences with my family. That's the purpose that we're trying to serve here. Then the second thing where I see a lot of times people get challenged with is we don't put into our calendar in advance time for personal growth. So this could be in our, Keller World Family Reunion, Mega Camp, Spring and Fall Masterminds. This could be Dave Ramsey, Neurolinguistic Programming, which I'm a huge fan of, right? If you haven't checked out NLP, it's the art of communication, and there's so much that goes into that. Tony Robbins, our coaching regiment, which is Pulse Coaching, your charity, all of these different things. We've got to make sure that we get into that rhythm, that they're scheduled, because that also recharges the gas tank, right? Like Anna, you just came, you did the Tony Robbins virtual event, right? So, even something like that couldn't actually make it there in person because of, scheduling things. but I think it was 3 days virtual. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was a 3-day virtual event. They were actually hosting it in Europe. So the funny part about this last one I went to, we were up at like 2 a.m. starting our day to watch this virtual event. But I would say it was the weirdest schedule, but it was 100% worth it. And now, because of that event, I'm very clear on the educational training that I'm going to every quarter because it was fundamentally changing to me after that. And it was a big light bulb going, I'm not spending enough time building this into my calendar, and yet it can make all the world of a difference.
Yeah, yeah. Again, if we don't improve our skills, we don't improve our toolbox, and we don't get to refill that gas tank and get this energy, right? We get energy from these things, conferences. All this is a game of stamina at the end of the day. But I just see people that are just so focused on just going work, 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 work. Maybe if my office is offering something, I'll attend that, and that's it. So really think about what personal growth events do you have blocked for 2024, right? And really start to decide on what those are going to be. Then we've got to get our next big rock in, which is we have to have enough energy to do this. And so when we look at that energy rock, whether that's for you, you're blocking in yoga, and we're going to talk about strategies on how to do this. Your food, your diet, your water intake, the spa day that you're going to take once a month, sleep, right? So in the chat box, who was in bed asleep before 9:30 last night? There we go, Christina. Right? So, okay, good, Jen. Yeah, right. And people go, well, Brandon, you don't understand my life, and I can't do that. I'm a night owl, and I'm like, like I get it. I have gone, I've lived it. No one's sitting here saying that they've got it all figured out. But if you're not going to be able to recharge this tank and be able to get the rest that you have to have, the next day is a nightmare. So people think about a morning alarm clock. Do you have a nightly alarm clock? Right? Do you have that alarm clock that goes ding, ding, ding? I mean, a lot of us, I think, use the Calm app. I'm a big fan of Calm. Every night at 9:15, it sends me a message and it says, hey, goofball, start winding down. It's almost bedtime. Like I'm a child, but I need that to go, oh yeah, like I'm, having a couple drinks with the wife, we're doing whatever, having a good time. And I'm like, oh yeah, if I don't go to bed now, I'm going to not be able to show up with the energy I need tomorrow to deliver on all of the things that I want to accomplish, to help my family, to help my church, to help my philanthropic endeavors, to help my kid, whatever that you're focused on. So these energy rocks are completely vital. And one of the biggest things that we focus on, and if you've known us, we do morning mastery challenges. Highly recommend reading the book, The Miracle Morning. If you haven't read it yet, it's awesome. We modified it a little bit for real estate. So every single morning, to make sure that I have the energy needed to be able to conquer the day, which really affects my time management, is I go through a regimen. So 10 minutes of meditation, 5 minutes of affirmations, 5 minutes of sales conversations. So people go, what the heck do you mean? I have a conversation book that sits next to I call it my meditation station. I know that's goofy, but that's who I am, right? My meditation area. And I go through my conversations and dialogues. People are like, well, Brennan, you just sound so fluid and you're so scripted. It's not, I didn't wake up that way. I practiced it all the time. You think about 5 minutes a day, 46 weeks out of the year. Do you think you're going to get a little bit or going to improve on your objection handlers, your dialogues, the way that you interact with your center of influence, all of these things? Of course. Then 2 notes of gratitude every single morning. So that triggers my brain to always remind myself, even if I got pooped on, I'll use that word, pooped on the day before, right? Something went sideways. I got, this failed, or I got this, or somebody's yelling at me and I've got an earnest money dispute or whatever it is. I always come back and can recharge and go, I'm pretty darn lucky that I have these people in my life, and being able to share those 2 notes of gratitude recharges that tank. Then exercise. Now, I do a little extended version of this because I'll talk about some ways to customize this. right? But I need an hour of exercise every morning because I just do. So in my modification of this, I do a couple of things at the same time. I can listen to a book online, which also takes care of my reading for 10 minutes. And while I'm on the treadmill or on the Peloton or whatever, I can watch a YouTube video. So when you look at this YouTube, I think it's one of the most highly underrated tools on the history of the planet, where every morning you can get the highest level of information out there from the best teachers on earth right in the comfort of your own home. So if you're struggling with something, maybe you're going, I'm struggling with inspection objections. Go on YouTube, go or how to win with inspection objections. There are probably 2,500 videos, or at least 25 videos of really, really good instructors that have dealt with this and that have solved it. So if you added that every day, 5 days a week, what would your world look like? So, Anna, we've talked about this. It's not easy to do. You have to kind of start small and add on, but any thoughts or comments on that?
Yeah, I want to kind of circle back on a couple of things. One thing that has helped sort of, you have the call app that tells you when to kind of wind down in the evening. One of the things that we actually implemented in our house are smart Google light bulbs that you can coordinate from your phone. So our lights change when it's time to go to sleep or when it's time to wind down. So if you guys haven't checked those out, they're on Amazon. It's actually been a really amazing game changer because then the whole house is on the same page. It's like, okay, now we're here, we're going to close down, it's time for quiet time. So that has been fantastic. And I think as a morning mastery pro tip, yeah, I always like to habit stack. So start with one and get 5 minutes under your belt. I think where I failed when we first started doing morning mastery, Brendan, is I wanted to do all of it all at once. And then I would get frustrated when I didn't do it right or I wasn't 100%. So habit stack 5 minutes on 5 minutes on 5 minutes. And before you know it, you have an amazing morning routine.
I love it. I love it. So yeah, think about in your calendar, what is your, whatever you want to call your morning routine. Is it serving you? Is it giving you the education you need? Is it recharging you? Is it doing the right things? Then the other big rock that we have to have, especially as real estate professionals, is we have to focus on lead measures. And so in our world, we know that there are two lead measures that lead to all of the results, all of them. Those two lead measures are what we call conversations and ambassadors. I have to have enough conversations about buying or selling real estate every single day to be able to hit my goals. And then I need to build deep relationships, what we call ambassadors, so that I have a database driven business, meaning that I'm not having to rely on internet leads and waking up in the morning and making calls to expireds when I'm 55 and having to do all of this. You think I want to call a for sale by owner when I'm 50? Put me down. Like, that's not what I want to do. That's what we're trying to avoid. So when we talk about ambassadors, I want you to think about every single day, our only job in real estate is to make people feel special. Our challenge is doing it at scale. So do you have time blocked in? Some of us call it lead follow-up. I think lead follow-up is such a hard word to think about. Lead follow-up is people that are in your system, that are in business right now, that you know are close to doing something. Building relationships and building nurtures and making people feel special, that's an entirely different system. So if you come from a mindset of waking up every day going, I'm going to make 3 people in my database today feel special. How am I going to do it? Maybe it's a handwritten note card. Maybe it's a text message. Maybe it's a phone call. Well, with our system, we follow a very specific 46 touch system. Some people do more, some people do less. In that system, we don't call anybody an ambassador until these 46 touches have been developed. So we know that if we have enough conversations, we're going to start dating people. Then we're going to be able to get into a relationship with them. And then once I have them on all 46 touches, then I can call them an ambassador, right? So with those 46 touches, we'll put those 46 in the chat box. I'm sure that's going to come up as a question for what we do there, right? But it's phone calls, it's notes, it's market reports, it's monthly mailers, it's all of that fun stuff to stay top of mind. But the only two that probably matter the most, phone calls and 2 personal touches, right? 2 touches that lets this person know that they're special, that I thought about them and I care about them. And so if I care about them, in reciprocation, they're going to obviously care about me. And when they talk to someone about buying or selling real estate, they're going to be an ambassador of my business and give that person my name. So remember, again, for every 6 ambassadors that you have fully nurtured in your database, will produce 1 closed transaction per year. 6-to-1 ratio. So is that built into your daily calendar? Is that built into your weekly calendar, right? So then the last rock, we've got to have a block and a rock for appointments. We have to have the time and the energy to be able to go out and meet with people for buyer appointments, listing appointments, what we call our VIP showing window in our Sold in 65 program, open houses, business spotlights, client appreciation events, book club. But what we find is people do these randomly, right? Now, we have some talented agents that we work with every single week in our Pulse coaching program. They have their open house schedule built out for the entire year. They know that they're going to do 3 a month. They have the date, the time and date of each one that they're going to have locked in. Also looking and taking in consideration the Super Bowl and the NFC championship game and holidays and all of these things. They strategically looked at it. They know what it is. And then they have a regiment where building up to this that they're doing on a consistent basis to deliver on that, right? So we're looking at that. If you take only one thing away from today's session, please write this down. I will never go on any appointment until after 12 o'clock every day. Ever. And when I mean appointment, that could be getting your hair did, getting your nails done, that could be going to the doctor. The teacher calls you up and says your kid just lit the school on fire. You got to come in for a PTA meeting. Be like, I can't do it at 9, but I could be there at 1, right? Like it's got to be such a line in the sand that you are not going to allow any exceptions on this, because that's the other issue that we do. We allow all of this other sand and pebbles to start filling in, and then we don't have that rhythm built in to continue to build relationships, to continue to work on our systems and our tools and everything that we're doing so that we can grow. We just pinball and we go pew, 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 all throughout the week. And at the end, I see it all the time. People are like, man, I don't even know where this week went. Well, if you don't know where this week went, that means you didn't have a map to know where you were going to start the week at. I'm guilty. I've woke up at the end of weeks and been like, well, how did I get here? What happened? Got to go back and review and go, that didn't work. That schedule is probably not the most highly effective schedule for me and for everything I'm trying to accomplish to get there. So figure out your appointment blocks, get it into your mindset that I hear this all the time. Brendan, my clients can only close at 9 a.m. on Friday. That's it. That's it. That's the only way they can do it. That's all a lie. That's a lie that we tell ourselves. I was closing 130 homes every single year, never went to a closing before 12 o'clock. And if it ever was an absolute drop dead emergency, someone went on my behalf. Because I'm not going to allow that precious time to be violated. We think to ourselves, well, yeah, you can say that, but you don't understand. The way that I do closings is so important, and I bring cookies, and I have a band, and there's a harp player, whatever. You think that that's the most important thing in your business, is sitting there eating cookies at a closing for 4 hours? Or is it working on building future relationships, refining your tools in business to make sure that you have consistent business moving forward? Now, people get irritated with me when I talk about these types of subjects because I get it. You have certain types of feelings about it. You're asking to try to figure out, do I want a $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 a year calendar? Or do you want to really truly have $1 million calendar? And in that $1 million calendar, it doesn't mean you're working 90 hours. It means that you've structured it in a way to maximize every single hour to get the most juice out of it. And a lot of that is saying no to things. And that's probably one of the biggest challenges. All right. So as we get into the small pebbles, this is where we talk about all of the things that we want to work on that we really think are going to make a huge difference in our business, right? Our lead capture build out page, inspection objections, ordering more business cards, sending out our golden letters. All of these things, of course, matter. But what I find is people will be sitting there in the morning ordering business cards at 9:30 in the morning because that checks a box for them instead of building a relationship, having a conversation about buying or selling real estate, and they can't figure out why they're on this roller coaster of business and it's not consistent. It's because we allowed those small pebbles to take time out of our day as an action item. There's a time and place for them, and I'm going to teach you here on how to win the week and the day in a second, of where you can fit that in, but it's not at 9:30 in the morning, right? So as we look at this, then we have the last and the most dangerous of all of these, which is the sand, the daily distractions, the got a minute meeting, the happy hours, the emails, the scrolling through social media, the living the selling sunset, TV and all of this stuff, right? This is the sand that we get caught up in all the time. So we have to really try to make sure that we're defending our rocks at the highest level. If we defend this time frame for our rocks and we're really passionate about locking these time frames in, and I'm going to show you how to do that here in a second, then it's okay. You're going to get distractions. Every single day I get a random phone call of something that's blowing up, and it's always a super important fire. Like, it's like, oh my gosh, Brendan, like if we don't address this second, the world's going to crumble. It's all a lie. It's just not that way. So in that morning mastery and having time to reflect and breathe and kind of think through these things, it's just going, yep, that's going to blow up. Oh, this client's going to get upset about this. And this inspection looks like it's hanging on by a thread. I talk to agents all the time and I go, so what did you do yesterday? And they're like, oh, I'm in the middle of this insane inspection objection. I spent all day on it. How can you spend an entire day on an inspection objection? It's because you allowed it to happen. It's because in your mind, you're going, that's work. Instead of going, how can I fix this problem as quickly as possible? How can I obviously make sure that I protect my time and understand that there's nothing that's that dramatic that is going to cause this whole thing to fall apart. I can only do what I can do. But if I'm spending 8 hours on an inspection objection, we probably got bigger problems. Okay. So as we block this and as we really dive into it, the second piece is we have to win the week. Now, I'm going to blow this up for you in a second, so don't try to squint and blow your eyeballs out trying to figure out what it says there. Okay. So don't worry, I got you, right? So I'm going to show you a sample of the schedule that I pretty much used for years and years and years to build, brokerages and teams and all of these different things, and also just my personal real estate business. Now, when you see this on the next page here or the next slide, you don't worry about it. I get it. You got to drop the kids off at XYZ. You got to do this. You have to do that. I completely understand all life requirements. It just becomes a game of Tetris. Yours is going to move slightly and shift a little bit because you have different requirements than maybe I have, than some other people have. And then there's just certain things where you're just going to lie to yourself and tell yourself it just can't be done, right? I can't wake up at X time. I can't go to bed at X time. Those are all lies. Those are all limited beliefs. I can't focus on building relationships for 3 hours a day or 2 hours a day or whatever your time's allotted. I don't have all of this discipline. People tell me all the time, they're like, well, Brennan, you just seem a lot more disciplined than me. That's ridiculous. I am a lunatic. I have zero discipline. I am an absolute head case. What I have is those bumpers on the bowling alley that keeps me on the lane, and that's my schedule, and those are my non-negotiables, right? So I don't go into the gutter. And I've been in the gutter, but I'm trying to have those bumpers into place to keep me in the middle of the lane. That's what I look at as far as the calendar goes. I also see people do these calendars all the time and they have the best intentions, and then there's just no execution, right? If you keep putting on your calendar every day that you're going to do role play and then you never attend role play, what's the point of having it on your calendar? If you're not going to do it, then don't put it on there. It's just a waste. I watch people look at their calendar and I'll see it pop up and they're like, oh, I'm supposed to be in role play. But Brendan, let's keep talking about my inspection objection. I'm like, then why did you have role play on your calendar? What was the point? If you're not going to hold it sacred, then just get it off. Why lie to yourself? It's not doing any good. In fact, it's making you feel guilty about yourself every day. Okay. So as we look at this calendar, right, and as you look at the screen, and hopefully you can pull it up as big as possible, right? Don't get in shock and be like, I'm never waking up at 4:30. Cool, do you, right? Maybe yours is 5:30. Maybe your first goal is 6:30. Maybe whatever it is, right? But you got to build in this time to have that morning routine. That usually means you're going to have to wake up before the kids get up, well before they get up, to have that calm, to have that moment. Then we have to, of course, get ready. Then, as you see, 7:30, find and build relationships. What we also have heard the word prospecting or lead gen or whatever you want to tell yourself, right? So you can make sure that you have this, right? Then you've got lead follow-up. After you're having all of these sessions, you have lead follow-up. And I see your comment, Jose. I'll come to you in a second here. Then a healthy lunch, right? And when I mean healthy, of course, something that's going to recharge the tank. Don't go and, hose 4 Chipotle burritos and get, exhausted when you come back and you got a stomach ache the entire afternoon, right? You've got to think about your whole business as an energy cycle. And then reserve a block for appointments. Now, we know this. We unfortunately can't produce appointments every single day. And if you want to share that slide in the chat box just so people can have a sample of it, we'll try to get that to you guys if it's too small. But looking at that, right, then you're going to have your date night built in. I love that it says Red Lobster on there. It's hilarious, right? But whatever your date night is, my wife would kill me if I took her to Red Lobster, but she just doesn't like chain restaurants, so that would not work for me. But if whatever it is that you're doing, right, you can do that. So as you look at this, and I'll come to these questions here in a second, as you're building out your day, no one's 2 days are ever going to be comparable because I don't live your life. I don't have your significant other. I don't have your dog. I don't have your cat. I don't have all of these different things. What you're trying to do is, I want you to write this down. Am I a sprinter or am I a marathon runner? Am I a sprinter or a marathon runner? And if you don't know what you are, here's some things that I want you to focus on. You only know how you're going to be able to be the most effective. I tell people all the time, if you're a marathon runner, then you're going to be able to lead gen 5 days a week, and you're going to keep that stamina the whole time. Others may only want to lead gen and nurture 1 day a week, 2 days a week, 3 days a week, but they're going to do it for a extended period of time to allow more time for the other days to be able to build their business, to have appointments. I know some people that just block out the whole day of Friday to be appointments, or Saturday. On this calendar as well, you might be like, so I only get 1 day off a week for the rest of my life? No. If you want to take 2 days off, this is a example. This is a sample, right, of what a calendar can look like as we're going through this. Yeah, Ali's a sprinter, right? So if you're a sprinter, you're going to be building this different. It all depends on how you're built. The other thing that we have found is the secret to absolute massive calendar success: starting at the same place at the same time every day. When I go to our office, there are, let's say at our brokerage, we have 260 agents at the one location, right? There is maybe 3 people that are there every day consistently at the same time. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Then you start seeing people pop in at 9:20, 9:40, people picking up their mail. I'm like, why are you picking up your mail at 9:50 on a Tuesday? That was on your list today to come in and check the mailbox? A lot of your problems can be solved by just building consistency and telling yourself, if I don't start at this time, I'm going to be fired. If I followed you around for a week, right? If I was just this little bird on your shoulder following you around for a week, would I think this is impressive? Would I think this is ridiculous? So it's not discipline, it is just the ability to start thinking in a mindset that goes, I have to make some tiny little changes that are non-negotiable that will then set the motion for everything else. Like Anna was saying before, atomic habits, right? We're going to habit stack and get these little habits. Probably the biggest and easiest habit to start is same place, same time, 3 days a week minimum. If you're just all over the place right now, 5 days a week minimum, right? And we're going to address all these questions. Well, yeah, we'll take a pause here and just answer a few. So I think one of the ones that I saw, Anna, maybe you can help me in some of these, but one I think I saw was, where do you make time for your buyers while building your listing business so they don't feel neglected? I don't see that in the calendar. So I think what you're meaning by that, Jose, is you're asking, okay, if you're working with a buyer and you're showing them houses, that's what we call appointments. So first thing is with our clients, whether you're taking this sample or any sample, is deciding on when you're going to allow showings. Instead of buyer calls, new property hits the market, they go, Brendan, I want to see that property tomorrow at 9 o'clock. You go, absolutely, John and Susie, let me just blow up my schedule. I will meet you there tomorrow at 9 because you're the customer, you're the client, and I'm supposed to do everything you want. And as soon as we allow ourselves to do that, we start to go down this rabbit hole. Instead of going, I can't wait to show you this property. I will be able to show it to you tomorrow at 12, or I can show it to you Saturday at 10 o'clock, if that's one of the days that you're going to reserve for showings and appointments. But it's not this immediacy. I think and I can tell you this, and everyone's like, you don't understand, you don't work with buyers anymore. But I've done this for years. We can lie to ourselves all we want and just say that we have to respond. Well, there's going to be multiple offers on it, so if we're not there first, our clients are going to miss out on it, and all of this craziness that we hear all the time. If we live in that kind of chaos, then you're never going to be able to build consistent business. It's going to cause a lot of challenges, right? So just try to be cognizant of that. And then we'll save time here. Yeah, go ahead, Anna.
Okay, cool. I wanted to make sure we do, for everyone who's popping those really great questions in the chat box, keep them coming. We have designated time at the end. So stick with us and we'll make sure we get everything answered before we hop off the call.
Yeah. And just wanted you to all know, I'm not sitting here preaching. Again, this is just years of learning. And again, people ask, I studied time management for hours and hours. And people are like, well, why is Elon Musk able to do this? And why is Gary Keller able to do this? And why is this person, this person? And it all became a process of going, what I'm willing to say yes to or no to, period, end of story, and what I'm going to allow in that world. So now, after we've built our weekly schedule, we have to have a regiment for the week. We can have the perfect week plan, but if we don't have clarity on what it is that we're trying to win during the week, and we're not focusing on these lead measures, we talked about the ambassadors and conversations, and if you take away anything else from this, we don't have visual scoreboards. We have to have visuals everywhere, what I call tools to success, right? We have to have these tools. If I don't visually know where I'm at, then how can I win the week? And then building this 1 week at a time. Some of us get so overwhelmed that we try to tackle all these projects. You only can win 1 week at a time. What's going to be your win for this week? right? What is going to be? Is it that you added 4 ambassadors to your system that are on 46 touches or more? Is it going to be that you took an hour to build your golden letter process? Is it that you've built out your calendar for 2024? What is the win for this week? And when we talk about scoreboards, we live and die by playing the game. So if you're going to win the week, right? You know what you want to do this year. You break that into how many weeks you're going to work. Let's say in our world, 46 weeks. Now I just have a mathematical game to play every day that doesn't lie to me. It doesn't care about my feelings. It doesn't care about anything. That tells me exactly where I need to go. And if I have a good day, great. Maybe you are human and you do go, you know what? I'm going to show that buyer tomorrow at 9 o'clock. So your lead gen blows up on Tuesday. You come back on Wednesday and you go, I set a goal to have 55 conversations this week or 52 or whatever the number is. And I'm going to buck up and I'm going to hit the phones and I'm going to make up the difference so I can convert on my goals. The reason numbers scare us is because we're not in love with them on what they can create us. Think about that. We're scared of them because we're not understanding that they create so much for us. It relieves anxiety, it relieves the stress, it takes off the pressure. Some of us look at it as going, this is a control mechanism. In no way is that. It's the biggest lie. It is the freedom creator because all you have to do is you executed a game plan and now just go and do it. And if you don't, then make up the difference and you'll feel great. So that's what we look at when we're trying to maximize the week. Now, we'll put these in the chat box. We have laminated, so you have a dry erase marker. We have the daily and the weekly back to back here. And whatever your system is, whatever your beliefs are, people ask me, well, how do you do it? And I go, there's just a rhythm. There's tools that I use every single day. Stack on those tools, keep visual scoreboards. That's it. And probably my favorite tool that you're seeing here is what we call first things first. So this is the most simple daily time management tool that we've used for years. I mean, I'm talking probably, I don't know, 15 years that we use this tool. I'm going to explain this tool and hope that you at least try it. And for my list people out there, right? I get you, I see you. This is not a list. This is an organic moving document that focuses on what has to get done today. And I'm going to talk about how to use this. Then all of the things that I'd like to work on, right? The things that I should do today. And then the things that I'd like to get done. So I'll break those down into 3 categories. Okay. So the tasks that I must do today. What do you think would be a task you must do today to make sure that you're being successful in your real estate business? We all probably are going to say the same thing. I need to hit my conversation goal, or I need to hit my ambassador goal. I need to lead gen, right? And Allie, I love that, but think about it being more specific, right? If we're specific, if we put, I have to lead gen today, it's something I must do, that lack of clarity of it being just something like, I got a lead gen, so I'm going to do that. I'm glad that you're going that route. I'm going to have 6 conversations with my past clients today. That would be a must do today, right? I'm going to send 14 text messages to my leads in my database today. Whatever your regimen is, I'm going to, we call it clearing our buckets. In our system, we clear buckets, what they call smart list. And so we know that every person is in a stage and we're just going through and moving one person to the next stage or finding out what their status is before they can move to the next stage. So looking at all of these things, then there's also just emergency must-dos that happen, right? I've got to get the offer in for Susie. I've got to schedule the inspection for Johnny. I've got to do these. Those are, of course, must-dos, because if you don't, your day is going to blow up, right? So the way that this document works is as we get the must-dos on there and we write out the shoulds and the what I'd like to get done, as we write these and fill these in, nothing in the second 2 sections can ever be touched or looked at until you have an X on those little squares for everything that was a must do today. And it might sound simple, but it's a very powerful mental tool to look at it and go, because what we want to do is all the things that we should do today. Like, I need to do that Facebook post. I need to do this. I need to do this. Those are all should do things that we go, that's going to take up the time that I'm going to try to occupy my day with, instead of focusing on the key, the absolute triggers that I know are going to produce me the most results. So this sheet works every single day. So as you go through it, the next day after you crushed your must-dos, the hardest thing to build this into your regiment is you're going to rewrite it every morning. The act of rewriting these things down makes it go from being a to-do list to a I am not doing the things that I said I was going to do, because I see people that have must-dos that never get touched, that just stay out of top of mind, whatever their excuse is. So when we're looking at this, we're going, I'm going to rewrite it every day. That ritual of rewriting it every day automatically gets your brain moving and thinking about, man, I still haven't been able to finish the day so I can move any of these things up. That middle section and bottom section, that's all the cool stuff in your business that you want to work on. Like, I want to work on my lead capture on my website, all the pebbles, right? It's all the pebbles. I want to plan a book club, a client appreciation event. I want to do this, I want to do that. But until we check off that we had 14, 15, 20 conversations about buying or selling real estate, we have to be so disciplined to not allow ourselves to go and do that stuff. Because if you get really dialed in on this, you'll knock out those conversations so quick. You'll get flying through this, your database will be updated, and then you'll buy the time in the afternoon, if you don't have an appointment, to be able to do the rest. Now, as you start crushing this and you get really, really busy and you have 5, 6 appointments, like several of us, have and don't do for forever, then you're going to build leverage around you. Then your must-dos change a little bit. You have leverage built around you. They start using this document to help keep them focused, because they're struggling just as much because you're dumping all of this stuff on them. And we're all trying to work through this together. And I want you to be very kind to yourself. There's never a perfect day. There's never, it's always going to be, I'm doing the best. Remember, the bumpers on the bowling alley, doing the best to stay in the lane. I just don't want to end up in the gutter. That's what I'm trying to be the most focused on. So think about using this document. I'll post a video of how to use this document in our Facebook group so you can check that out. And then just realize you're buying the ability to work on the other cool stuff once the main things are done. And make sure you note this. On the must-dos, make them very specific. Average lives in vague, right? Average lives, the more vague we are, the more average our life is going to be. The more specific we are and the more intentional we are, the more that we're going to get out of this world and get out of the day, okay? The second tool that I use every single day, we have a weekly scoreboard, we have a daily scoreboard. All of us wake up and go, you know what? I just need to talk to 5 clients today. All right, it's now 11:30. I don't know, did I talk to 3 of them, 2 of them? Oh man, I don't know. You can't keep it all in your head. So if you have your day and you start out with powerful tools, you have your first things first on your desk, you have your daily scoreboard on your desk, you know how many conversations you need to have, and you don't put a checkbox on there until you've had a powerful conversation about buying or selling real estate. This is a sample one that you're looking at, right? Then it's just becoming a game, gamification. We're just trying to have fun with this so that you can focus on it and you go, great, now my scoreboard is complete. I hit my 15 conversations, boom, checkbox done. Now I followed up with my database and I made 2 ambassadors feel special today, checkbox done. Now I'm going to start working on my social media campaign. Now I'm going to start scheduling that book club. Okay. So when we put these all 3 of these together, we have a daily, a weekly, and then in our Pulse program, we have what we call our dashboard, our monthly and yearly dashboard. So you can track all of your conversion and all of your numbers. So you know if you're improving or getting worse, or maybe you're going on 10 appointments, but they're not really effective appointments. So scoreboards are so critical, just like every professional athlete on earth that uses them, to figure out, am I getting better? Am I staying the same? Or am I actually getting worse? And that's, of course, what we don't want. And that's why we create awareness. So pro tips, let's talk about those and then I'll open it up to questions. So one of the things that I find too, and I'm not going to throw my wife under the bus, but I will look at her computer. She's got 65 million tabs open on her computer. I literally like start panicking when I see her computer and she's like, it's like Neiman Marcus. And I'm like, why do you need Neiman Marcus on at 11 o'clock in the morning? What the heck are you possibly looking for at 11? So we've got to be disciplined with ourselves to, yeah, as I said, we all are guilty. I'm not going to sit here and be like, I haven't done it too, but trying to think about it and go, I'm going to start a lead gen session. I got to reduce the amount of distractions, close my email, close out these things, focus on what I'm going to do, be looking in my CRM and just go to work. So trying to limit yourself to 5 tab maximum on your work computer at any given time, that's a hard thing to do, but it's extremely valuable. Set a timer. Me and Anna were talking the other day, and I go, one of the most powerful tools that I ever bought was a 60-minute egg timer. And I would set it for 45 minutes because I'm a distraction lunatic. I'm the kitten going after the laser light. I'm all over the place. I go, I have to set the egg timer for 45 minutes. I'm going to focus on making my conversations, building my ambassador relationships. And when that thing dings, I get to go and check Sports Center for 15 minutes, or my fantasy football, or I get to go get my 50th glass of whatever you're drinking for the day. I get all those. But during that 45 minutes, I'm tick, 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 tick. I am dialed in until I hear that ding. Then I take a 15-minute break, come back, reset the timer if I haven't already accomplished my goals, do another sprint, ding, get another break. And that's how a lot of the top producers I know across the country do it. I mean, I've asked millions of them. Everyone has their tricks, their gimmicks. We used to lock ourselves in our office and tell our administrative assistant not to let us out until this time. I mean, all kind of things, because right, we all want to go, I've been making calls for about 30 minutes. You know what I'm going to do? Walk down the hall and talk to Susie, see how she's doing. I wonder what she's up to today. And soon as you do that, everything blows up, because then Susie wants to bring her drama and throw it on you. And she's gonna be like, oh my God, my husband's such a dick. And you're like, oh man, oh, that sucks. And you're like, oh, that's terrible. And then your whole day just explodes. I know, because I do it too, right? But all we're trying to do is, again, put those bumpers on. Batch tasks, right? So if we batch certain things, maybe Thursday you isolate as your one single day. We heard some comments earlier where you just do all of the things, your golden letters, you do your Facebook post, you do your social media, you don't do any lead gen that day. Thursday is your task list that you get done. It has to be how you want to build it. Leverage AI and automation. Of course, the more tech we have, the better. Have a power lead processing system and dominate your lead follow-up. If your lead gen system isn't set up correctly, I mean, your database system is not set up correctly, it's like just throwing stuff at the wall. You're just throwing stuff and hoping something sticks. All we're doing is building a database system that goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, give me the money. Repeat, 1, 2, 3. And so we can help a lot with that. We go through this in detail, but there's a lot to building that system, and then celebrate the small wins so that you can build momentum. So constant reminder, a goal without a routine is just a dream. We had all these big goals. I asked people in our Pulse session last week, are you on track for your 2024 goals? It's almost the end of January. Are you on track? I think we got 95%, Anna, that said not really, right? Because we said all of these things and we go, we have time to catch up, time to catch up, time to catch up. There isn't time to catch up. It's our routine that's letting us down. It's this rhythm and this cadence of success that's letting us down. So think about building your year, dial it into a powerful week, and that has to be a week that you love and that you can defend. And then how are these little tools that I can use every day to maximize the day? Where are my scoreboards? Where's my first things first? If you're going to use a to-do list, make it more of a must-do list and then extra stuff do list, and you'll have a lot more success. I'm going to open up this to questions. If you are wanting to take this journey with us, we do have an amazing program. It's called Pulse. It's been taking the nation by storm. So every single week, we dial into these processes: clarity, lead measures, scoreboards, and winning 1 week at a time on building these strategies and tools and all the things that you're going to want. Again, it's $99 a month. My biggest passion was making it affordable because I couldn't get affordable coaching when I first started. So if you want to have that interest in there and you're not at a point yet, possibly, or you just want another layer of accountability and you have a full-time coach, awesome. And you can always talk your brokerage or market center or team into paying for a group membership, which is unlimited for $9.95 a month. In addition, you can come see us at Family Reunion. We will be on the marketplace floor. I'm speaking multiple times at Family Reunion. Would love to come and meet you in person, chat it up with you, talk about how I can help. And lastly, I'll open it up to Q&A and any questions, Anna, that I didn't address, or will allow everyone to come off of mute, and I'll do my best to help answer anything I can.
Absolutely. Well, folks, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us. We will stick around for the next 10 minutes or so to make sure that we answer all the questions in the chat box. First one, in your experience, Brendan, how many contacted buyers do you need to generate one closed sale? Let's talk about some of those conversions.
So how many contacted buyers per one closed sale? So I'll answer that in two parts. We measure things a little bit differently. So we know in our organization, and tracking it for almost 15 years now, it takes us 26 processed leads, whether buyer or seller, to produce one closed transaction. So when I say a lead, this could be a Facebook inquiry in the middle of the night. This could be a Zillow lead. This could be a realtor.com lead. This could be an open house lead. We look at more, if we get them into our system, into our funnel, we do all of the touches in our processing correctly. When we do this, deals we can set our watch to it. We tracked it every single year. Some agents in our organization were doing 5 or 6 per one closing. Some were doing 50. So the average was always, every year we would go back and go, how many leads did we put into the database this year? How many deals did we close? Divide by those two numbers. It always, when I say 26, it was like 26, 27, or 28. Like, it never varied from within those three numbers year after year after year. So once we understood our metrics, we could start focusing on that. And that way we knew, okay, look, this month we're behind. This month we're ahead. Do I need more lead levers? Am I not putting enough people into the machine, into the funnel, and then processing them and having these gold nuggets pop out at the end? So I hope that answers it. As far as a specific buyer, that would be really difficult to measure. What we do know, and looking at this, is in our organizations, it was taking 6 buyer appointments per one closed buyer. What I mean by appointment is every time you either had the initial consultation, showed them a property, had another session, showed them another property. So it was 6 appointments for every one closing, where on the listing side, it was 2. You go meet with the seller, right? You do your listing presentation, you come back, you're great. The next appointment that you might have is, if you're going to go to the closing, going to the closing table. So if you look at that, you're going to have 6 more sessions to do the same amount of work for a buyer to produce that same amount of results. That's why we're so passionate about having a listing-based business.
Which then leads kind of right into the next question. Our friend Jessica Alexander asks, do you dedicate certain days when building buyer and seller relationships? For example, do you dedicate Monday and Wednesday to buyers and Tuesdays and Thursdays to sellers? Or do you just divide it up equally and focus on the conversation goal at large?
Ooh, this one's going to ruffle some feathers. So I don't spend any time on trying to attract or build buyers. What I mean is outbound time. Every waking minute of every single day is, if I'm doing anything outbound, is focused on building listing opportunities. When I receive buyer leads or buyer opportunities, of course, I'm going to work with those buyers. I use a lot of automation to work with buyers. I use a lot of leverage as far as showing assistance. If you're just starting out, I understand. I couldn't do that either when I was in the beginning, but I would work with buyers and I would try to use tech as best that I could to make sure that I was managing it. I'm also very passionate about setting expectations. I'm very clear in my buyer consultation about how I can make their time the most effective. I don't let buyers run me around the city. We have an entire process that goes, here's exactly how we're going to work with you. Here's exactly how all of this is going to happen. And it's going to be better for you because of it. Here are some things that we will not do during this process, because if we do, it's going to hurt you and it's going to hurt the goals that you're trying to succeed with. So usually when I find that people are spending a lot of time with buyers that are getting ran around, it's just simply because the standards weren't put into place from the beginning. And then this expectation is, and I can't use the word on this call, but they call them door floozies. I don't know a better word for it. There's a better word for it, right? Where you're just running around opening up doors 24/7, and you're just chasing the tail of the dog. And so a lot of it is set the clear expectations, make sure that we have that powerful process. If you're asking about building relationships in the database, if I have buyers that are being worked through my lead generation buckets and going through this, then of course, as I get to them, I'm going to be like, hey, Anna, I know it's been about a month since last we spoke. I saw you looking at some properties here on our website. I know that we had some credit issues, or I'd sent over the lender or whatever it is. I just want to check in because this property at 123 Elm Street looks like it could be a great fit for you. Are you available, or nights or weekends better this week for us to go and take a look at some properties? She's going to go blah, 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 yada, yada. I'm going to go great, 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 update database. Either we're going to go show properties, we're not going to go show properties, and then I'm on to the next. My goal isn't, I'm not sitting here every single day trying to, spend my valuable time trying to find more buyers. My regiment is, and that's a whole nother class, is we have what we call the elite schedule for agents. We run through a check down every single morning. My first phone calls I'm making is every single day expireds for sell by owners, rent by owners, absentee owners, the NED list. Then I'm making my just listed calls. Then I'm making my just sold calls. Then if I'm going to host an open house to get buyers, I'm going to make open house invite calls to get buyer profiles, to create golden letters, to get more sellers. And then the last thing I'm going to do is call my center of influence. And then I'm going to, if there's reasons to do that, invite them to a happy hour, whatever it is. And then I'm going to call my past clients. So we'll put that schedule out there as well. Is that regiment, and understanding that every single day is going to lead you to producing this. Now, if you don't want to call expireds, then don't do it. Give them to the rest of us, whatever you want to do. But if you're trying to have the maximum time efficiency, I'm going to go after people that have already decided to sell, that's already decided to pay a commission. They just don't know. They had a bad experience with some weirdo that didn't help them get there. Why can't I save you? Just got to get in front of you. Cool.
Perfect. Brittany asks, I'm newer to the real estate industry, so my schedule is pretty inconsistent. However, with all of the trainings, oftentimes my schedule gets interrupted. There's always trainings, right? Any advice, especially as you're new, maybe in your first couple of years?
Yeah. So if I'm understanding the question is, you have a weekly team meeting, you have all of these things. What do you prioritize? Is that kind of what she's meaning, Anna? You think?
Yeah, and if there's a really great training on how to do something in the real estate industry and it's your first time, should you prioritize that training at 9 a.m. instead of lead generating, because you still don't know what you don't know? So how do you prioritize?
Well said. That's a great question. So I'll answer this as best I can. Of course, the main goal is learn to earn. Depending upon where you're at, we come into business usually and we go, you know what, jump on the phones and start doing this and fill out your database and do all this. Every one of us has a different financial threshold. If it's me, I am never going to a training, especially if I'm brand new, unless I'm going to make it up in the rest of my time blocks. So if I'm going to go to a 9 o'clock training on a Monday, then I know that that's 2 hours of a block that now has to get tacked on to either Saturday, Sunday, 5 to 7 p.m. in the evening. And I'm gonna have to look at that and go, is that worth my time to be able to do that? So I'm looking at it just going, if I'm going to create this rhythm, I've got to make sure if I take one block, it just doesn't evaporate. It has to move over and it has to be made up somewhere. So a lot of things that I usually do is I would set goals for my conversations and go, If I hit 50, I earn the right to go to this training. So if I have to hit 50 by Wednesday, 50 conversations, I earn the right to go to that Thursday training. If it's Wednesday and I've hit 32 conversations, guess who's doing conversations on Thursday instead of going to the how to maximize your social media presence class for the 50th time? No offense, that's a great class. I'm just messing around, right? But again, right? Of course, we'd rather go sit there and listen to talk to someone tell us about how we can make all of our money from Instagram instead of having to pick up the phone, talk to some weirdo past client that's like, "Hey, Brendan, I don't know how long's it been. Oh, hey, how you doing?" And you're like, "Hey, John, how's it going? Are you so Susie still alive? Okay, great. Hey, you guys looking to sell?" Right? That's a terrible conversation, but I'm just saying as a joke, right? That's of course not as fun as going and sitting on and watching people talk about how they've built their YouTube channel from social media. Both are important, but one has to earn the other.
And I think that kind of rolls into anyone who's in the middle of a dual career, right? Someone who's transitioning from one industry into the real estate industry full time. Any pro tips for dual careers transitioning full time into real estate?
Absolutely. And I see this all the time. I mean, the hardest part about dual career is we're working our regular job, then we're tired from that because maybe our energy plan isn't set in place. We get Saturday and Sunday off. And when we hear that word, Saturday and Sunday off, our paradigm has to change to Saturday and Sunday to invest in the freedom for the rest of my life. That's how I have to look at it and go, of course, you still got to take Susie to the soccer game and it's somebody's bar mitzvah and whatever the heck you got going on. But I'm looking at it and I'm going to have a conversation if I have a significant other where I'm going, I have to block this time because if I don't, I'm going to wake up, we're going to be X amount, and we're going to be on this set income for the rest of our lives. And I'm not going to be able to put us in a position to have legacy wealth, help our charities, help our church, and do all of this. So I know it sucks. You might have to not see me for 4 to 6 hours, but do we want to sacrifice really strong for 1 year to have 20 great years? Or do we want to have 20 average years? What do you want to do? And it is not easy, and I respect everyone that's done it. I did the same thing. I was a personal assistant to a top producer when I got into real estate, and I was exhausted at the end of the day. I wanted to cry. I cried a lot. She was, really, really intense. And then I had Saturday and Sunday to start doing showings, making calls, having listing appointments, all of those things. And once it led to another, to the point where I was able to make that next move.
Love it.
Anything else?
Last question, and then if we didn't get to anything, we are going to be providing this. This is being recorded. It will be made available 24 hours after this session is over, along with wrap-up notes, including all of the PDFs that we provided in the chat box. If you didn't have a chance, or maybe you're driving in the car, you didn't have a chance to download it, not to worry, we'll make sure that you have everything you need. Brendan, last question. I've seen a lot of different coaches and trainers include note writing or CRM database updating as part of the lead gen time. Should lead gen time be straight up conversations making relationships, or should we include that other work inside that time block?
Yeah, so if you saw on that sample calendar, yeah, when we call it lead nurture or lead follow-up or database management, the hardest thing is when you start processing one lead. So let's say I'm on a great call session. I talk to an expired or a for sale by owner or a past client, and they're like, "Brendan, I want to meet with you Friday 2 weeks from now." And I'm like, yes. If I stop my energy right now and go and put them in the database and go, I got to have a listing appointment 2 weeks from now or follow up with all this, I'm going to lose my momentum. So I truly believe when I do this, I keep pieces of paper. I have my conversation book sitting in front of me. I have my piece of paper here. And when I strike gold, and gold could be a number of things, they allowed me to add them to my email list. They want to go see houses in 3 months. They are possibly thinking about selling next year after they retire. I write all those notes down as quickly as I possibly can and as detailed as I can, and then I hit the button for the next call and I'm on to the next until that egg timer goes off. When the 8 timer goes off, take a break. So like if I was doing this in real time, 7:30 a.m., from 7:30 to 8:15, I'm crushing expireds. Break goes off, take a break, walk around, walk outside, get my energy back up, get some fresh air. Boom, back on at 8:30, click that sucker for another 45 minutes. Talk, 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 talk. Whether it's people in my database, whether it's new outbound leads or whatever it might be, talk, 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 talk. Boom, timer goes off, take a break, walk around, get some energy, get some air, get some coffee, or I don't drink coffee, but tea or whatever you're into. Boom, come back, one more session if I haven't hit my number yet, right? All I'm trying to do is hit my number. What's your number? 10, 15, 20, it depends on your goals. Once I hit that number, done. Take my whole list of notes from my powerful lead gen sessions, get in front of my CRM, start putting it all in, so put the dirt into the machine so I can start churning it to get the gold out, do all of my lead processing, go and have a healthy lunch, maybe with clients, maybe with friends, maybe just at my workstation, whatever it is. Go on appointments the remainder of the afternoon. If I don't have any appointments, if I've hit my conversation goal, continue to go. If I haven't, then I need to make that up, or get to go to that second section of my first things first and start working on all the cool stuff I want to do to improve my business.
Fantastic. Well,
Intense.
Brendan, no. That's a great question. Thank you so much for the extra time.
Well, and I know we have to cut, but I'll just to answer yours real quick, Josh. So life throws up. How do you get back on track? That's why the scoreboard is so important, right? Don't worry as much about your calendar, like I'm at this time or this time or this time or this time. Worry about your lead measures. Am I on track for my conversations this week? Am I on track to hit the ambassadors and making people feel special this week? If I'm on track and a day blows up, then I'm straight. If I'm way off track and 2 days blow up, then that means I got to buckle down, triple down until I get back to where I need to be to make that vitality checklist, right? To make my vital signs get delivered on, so my heartbeat, my pulse of my business can continue to beat to take me into the future. So Josh, I love that question. That's why I wanted to address it. Do not stress out about the blocks. Those 2 lead measures. Some of you might have 3. Maybe it's one of your lead measures is X amount of open houses per month. Maybe your lead measure is X amount of networking events, right? I know that all of those still lead back to conversations and ambassadors, so that's why we're so passionate about them. But if you're going to have different metrics, as long as you're on track for that, it's okay if things blow up. Or if you're not on track, if it blows up, you know how you got to come back and close the gap. You can't win every day, but you can certainly win the week. And if you get behind on a week, then you know the next week, I'm going to start making up. And if you just get buried and you go, maybe my goals were too big and I'm not ever going to really do this, then think about it, reanalyze it, go back and look at what just happened and go, how can I tweak it just a little bit? So they're going to throw me off here. We are way over of time. I can't thank you all enough. This was an absolute pleasure. Really, really good questions, really great participation. If I can do anything to help your business, please let me know. And hopefully come see us in Las Vegas. We're going to have a blast. Have a wonderful day. Be passionate about what you do. And just remember, year, week, day. That's all you're trying to think through, and be very kind to yourself and know that it's going to blow up every time, or blow up at times, and it's going to be fine. All right, everyone, take care. See ya.
Thank you.
Everyone.